Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bad Bookers Wrestling Podcast, and hopefully this should be my last review in my car, which would be good. If you've been following these reviews, as you know, I've been doing these from my car because I've been at work, and when I get a chance to catch NXT, any WWE programs I do, and luckily, as my work's very chilled, especially at night, I get a chance to watch all the WWE programs, and then I can go back to my car and review it. But hopefully this should be the last one from the car. Hopefully I can get some proper lighting, and yeah, as you can see, I've written my notes down on a McDonald's wrap of the day. Garlic crispy wrap of the day, because I couldn't find any paper. Professional. But yeah, we're reviewing WWE NXT, and it was a very good episode of NXT. It always is a very good episode of NXT, but this one was especially... ooh, it tickled my pickle, as I like to say. We started off the night with Heavy Machinery versus TM61 in a match that was made last week, and TM61 won after... so that's 2 wins on the trot, and they won the same way as they did last week. I think it was last week or the week before. They pinned, I don't know which one's which, I don't know their names, I do apologise, but one of them pinned, I don't know, the bigger, broader one of the 2 Heavy Machineries. They pinned, I know Tucker Knight, I know him, he's the tall, I was going to say tall, thin one, but not quite thin, is he? But TM61 pinned the more broader guy and put his feet on the ropes like they did against the Street Profits, I think it was, and they snuck a win, if you want to say that. So that's 2 wins on the trot for them, one against Street Profits, one against Heavy Machinery. And as I didn't know beforehand, apparently there's going to be a takeover Chicago at Money in the Bank, so I would assume TM61 versus Undisputed Era, maybe, because TM61 they're on a bit of a roll now. 2 wins on the trot. I know it's 2 heelish teams. Well, Undisputed Era heelish. TM61, I haven't seen much character from them, but obviously with the dirty pins that they're doing, they must be a heel team, obviously. So maybe we haven't seen War Raiders in a few weeks. Have we? Or did we see him last week? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. Terrible start to this live stream. But yeah, TM61 won, and that's really hard. TM61 won, and they've won 2 on the bounce against Street Profits and Heavy Machinery, like I said. So they might get title shot. They might not. Nothing's been announced yet. We'll probably have they'll probably do a #1 contendership between them and War Raiders, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. They might not even have the tag team titles on the line at TakeOver Chicago, you never know. Next up we had Kairi Sane versus Lacey Evans. Obviously there's a bit of a backstory to this. Lacey Evans offers an apology to Sane, and she didn't accept it, so Lacey Evans smacked her up in the face. This was an alright match, and Lacey Evans won by Kairi Sane jumped off the top rope, and Evans hit her with, I think they called it the women's right hand or something. Big kind of uppercut to the jaw, especially off the top rope. It looked quite nifty, quite nice, and yeah, she picked up the win. So it's not the feud over, because I did mention on commentary how both of them have won a piece, so they're going to have a rubber match at some point. So it's not feud over just yet, but they might keep it on the back burner, and you know, they might have another match fairly soon. Next up we had it's kind of like an interview with Kathy Kelly. She found a returning Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, and Johnny Gargano said he had an announcement to make. Him and Candice have come up with a decision, and they are going to tell the audience what decision they've come up to. They've I'll get onto it later, because it was like the last segment of the night. They played it off like it was a retirement, basically. but I will get onto that when the time is to come. Next up we had, it's after this point. I thought it was later on tonight, but there's 2 more points. We had the match between Lars Sullivan versus Ricochet and Velveteen Dream. Now this is a very good match, great back and forth. They made Lars Sullivan look really strong, and they Ricochet and Velveteen Dream got a lot of offense in, but at the end of the day, from what the internet's saying, is make Lars Sullivan look as strong as possible. That's all I'm going to say. But it ended up with Velveteen, I think what happened was Velveteen Dream went up to the top rope and Ricochet tagged himself in. But it also looked like that Ricochet pushed Velveteen Dream off the thing. But I think he just went for the tag, he tagged in, and Velveteen Dream did some move. I think it was just some kind of flip onto Lars. Then Ricochet, as he tagged himself in, he did a 450 splash off the top rope. But Velveteen Dream took it like he pushed him off the top rope, hit his rolling Death Valley driver on him, said, "If you screw me, I'll screw you back." Something along those lines. So we're definitely going to see Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream at this TakeOver Chicago, which I didn't even know was happening. Nothing's been announced for it, but you would have thought, Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream, an actual finish to the match, unlike last week. I'll be happy with that. I'll be very happy with that. But yeah, Lars Sullivan pinned Ricochet after the screw job from Velveteen Dream. I'm not going to say any more about Lars because I don't want to spoil it for people. You probably already guessed it, but I don't want to spoil it just in case you haven't seen the spoilers. Like I've said on previous reviews, I don't go out my way to find NXT spoilers. It was just this one was interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. We had an interview with Dakota Kai again. We love having these interviews with Dakota Kai. It seems to have them every week. She was with Kathy Kelly, I assume it was, and they were talking about Shayna Baszler, and Dakota Kai was saying how Shayna Baszler was a bully. And then who turns up and interrupts the interview was the woman herself, Shayna Baszler. And she said, "You'll never beat me." And because they're having a match next week, apparently. It got announced that next week that Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler are going to have a match for the women's title. I'll give you my opinions on that slightly after. But Shayna said, "You'll never beat me." And Dakota Kai, if you haven't watched NXT, she's been... I'm going to say bullied. That's the only words I can think of. Bullied by Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler's been getting in her head, making her feel small. But then Dakota Kai, with a first bit of backlash. Ooh. Don't remind me of that pay-per-view. Stood up to Shayna Baszler and said, what does she say now? Just you wait, or something. Just you wait, or something along those lines. So yeah, next week Dakota Kai versus Shayna Baszler. I think it's going to be a dusty finish even, because I think Nikki Cross is going to get involved. Because she wasn't on this week's NXT, but she has been there or thereabouts in this feud. And I think she's going to get involved, and I would love to see that. Maybe not get involved in a match, maybe just a distraction. She doesn't mean to distract them, but Nikki Cross comes out anyway, distracts, I'm going to assume Dakota Kai. They're not going to take the belt off Shayna Baszler, but distracts Dakota Kai, or both of them. Shayna Baszler gets the opportunity, does her finisher where there's no submission, puts Dakota Kai to sleep, and maybe we could see a triple threat of some sort at Chicago. That'd be quite cool. I quite like that. Anyway, the Gargano Candice LeRae little press conference, I guess, in the ring. They both came out very subdued, playing on. Johnny Gargano had a neck brace on, and he was talking about, is it worth me he's talking about the attack on Ciampa, how he's like, I remember every time I get out of bed it's hard, and my body reminds me how my head got crushed into that LED board, how I got planted for a table, and is it worth it? This is what he's getting at, and all the crowd were like, yes, it is worth it. And you could see that they were trying to play on the fact that Gargano was gonna say, oh, I'm retiring, basically, and which obviously was never going to happen. You're not going to have a fake retirement speech unless you're Mark Henry and you do it properly. But Johnny Gargano can't do something like that because he's not Mark Henry. And plus you don't want to have too many fake retirement speeches, do you? Because it gets a bit, devalues a retirement speech, doesn't it? We don't want that. But then, playing off the crowd reactions, him and you could see he was telling Candice, like, no, I can't do this, and then the crowds kept on cheering, and then he just took his neck brace on and went, Tommaso Ciampa, I know you're back there, come out now so we can finish this once and for all. Ciampa does come out and says, if you're still standing in that ring by the time I get down, I'm gonna make sure I end it right here, right now. He walks to the ring. Candice LeRae runs off, gets a load of refs to push Gargano out the ring so that they're not brawling, and tries to drag him up the ramp back to the dressing rooms, and kept on saying to Johnny, no, it's not worth it, please don't do this, Ciampa gets back on the mic and says, come on Johnny, listen to your wife, because obviously they've been playing off the fact, especially last week, how Candice wears the trousers in the family. Gargano didn't take very nicely to these comments, ran to the ring, but as he ran to the ring, Ciampa knocked him off, and Gargano landed on Candice, and Candice was laid out on the ramp. And they really know how to pull on your heartstrings, don't they? It was obviously at the start of it was all emotional, and then Ciampa gets the upper hand on Gargano once again, and it injures Candice, and it just, we're gonna get some sort of really brutal fight. I know we had the brutal unsanctioned match, but I think this time it's going to be more weapons involved, just an all-out brawl, possibly like something like a street fight or last man standing match or something like that. But Gargano Ciampa 2 is very, very close. I can almost smell it, and it's going to be so good. There wasn't anything else announced, but after that showing, Dream and Ricochet are definitely going to have a match at Chicago, and we're definitely going to see a Gargano Ciampa match very soon, probably at Chicago as well, because the Chicago crowd will get into that as well. We all know what a Chicago crowd's like. But yeah, very interesting stuff. Very good show of NXT there. Very much enjoyed it. And I think that's it. I'm looking at my notes. It doesn't seem like there was very much, but there was loads. It was strange. It's strange how you picture it. But no, it was very action-packed. There wasn't many. There was 3 matches, was there? What did I say? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 matches. So in that sense, no, not very much. But it was action-packed nonetheless. There's 3 matches every week of NXT, isn't there? So don't know what I'm chatting on really. But we recorded the podcast last night, and it was very good. That should be coming out on iTunes and SoundCloud later on in the week, sometime over the weekend or maybe Friday. I don't know when it's going to get uploaded, but it would also be out on YouTube, where we've decided to put it back on YouTube and just to have it around. Not many people use iTunes, so if you want to listen to the podcast, that'd be great. We're going to put it back on YouTube, but I have to confirm it later on in the week, whether we're gonna put it back on YouTube, but fingers crossed we can put it out on more platforms, and it would be great. But yeah, podcast is going to be out soon. We have to record it earlier in the week so we can involve NXT, but we did talk about a lot of stuff. We talked about Raw, SmackDown, the UK tournament coming up. We talked about some New Japan stuff as well, so that was nice. And yeah, if you've got any questions about NXT, you should leave them down in the comments section, and we can talk about them next week on the podcast. And if you want to tweet us, at BadBookersWP. Twitter's been going mad recently. We've gained a lot of followers. We've become more part of the community as well, which is fantastic. And yeah, I don't think there's much more to say really, so I shall love you and leave you. I've rambled a lot in this episode, but do remember, hopefully next week this should be my last review in a car. Thank God. But yeah, I shall love you, leave you there. Like, subscribe if you are new, and I shall see you again Monday Night Raw, I guess it would be. Thank you and goodbye.